remember in my university time, I have to pretend to be Malay for some reason because I've been called many names. Soon I say I'm Orasli, and they would say, oh, you live in a long house, or you live in a tree, yeah, are you wearing the line cloths and everything. So after the experience, I feel like, okay, I should not say I'm Orasli then. I just say I'm Malay or whatever, you know.
This is Pritika, and you're listening to Millennials Bully, the show which is all about millennials. Hello, listeners. Welcome to this week's episode of Millennials Bully. Our topic for this week is Millennials Bully Make Art. Now, who better to discuss this topic than our millennial local artist, Shaq Koyok? Shaq is a Malaysian contemporary indigenous artist whose works have been featured widely across Malaysia. Really happy to have you on the show today, Shaq. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy that you invite me to this show.
It's really exciting to have you on, and as we will unpack your work in this episode, what you are doing is incredibly inspiring, and I'm sure lots of listeners will really connect to your story. So Shaq, just to start us off, I think it would be good to know a bit about your story. So on your blog, you have talked about developers sort of encroaching the jungle around your village and how that has impacted you. So could you share with us how those personal experiences led you to make art, essentially?
Well, I grew up in very humble, very, I would say typical Orasli lifestyle. So my parent house, my house was built from material from the jungle, and also the jungle also a place for me to go to play. I mean, jungle is my playground, for example. So that connection so strong with me when the destruction happened right in front of my eyes. I was so little, and it just traumatized me. And then the only way for me to speak and to share but story is through my visual work. I mean, drawing, painting, and so on. So that's actually one of the things that lead me to do more art based on Orasli people, especially about injustice, also land right of Orasli. So yeah, this actually come from a very traumatic experience to a very, what's it called, creative way for me to express it.
Yeah. So when was it that you started doing art? What age would you say that you began your journey with art?
So my first, I would say it's when I was 5 years old, because when I saw my brother do painting in front of me, and I got really interested to see my brother doing the artwork in front of me, because I was 5 years old, and he introduced me to the art, and teach me how to paint art, and that's actually the one of starting point for me to get interested in art, and I love it. And since then I've been painting and drawing and do anything about art in primary school and secondary school until university, until now, and never stop doing art because it's part of my life now.
And you make such wonderful art, and it's very impactful. So if you could just go back slightly to your story about coming from that indigenous sort of background, coming from the Temuan tribe of Selangor, in fact. So how has that aspect of your life as an artist impacted your interactions with other artists?
Well, it was quite challenging for me and also for other artists, and because you know, it's not them to blame, but I think it's our Malaysian system also that they don't produce material or media, but orang asli that's make it the other people doesn't understand about orang asli, and then make it difficult for me to approach them and introduce myself to them. I remember in my university time, I had to pretend to be Malay for some reason because I've been called many names. Soon I say I'm orang asli, and they would say, oh, you live in a long house, or you live in a tree, yeah, are you wearing the line cloths and everything. So after the experience, I feel like, okay, I should not say I'm orang asli then. I just say I'm Malay or whatever, you know. That's actually I tried to not to get that horrible, what's it called, response from them. So I tried to get away, but at the end of the day, I realized that I think representation is matter, so I shouldn't hide my identity. I just tell him who I am. And I remember reading a book, one of the quite inspiration book, that said in order to not hide, to what's it called, not destroy something. No, I would say hide. So in order to hide your weakness, show your strength. So my strength is in art. So I just show them my talent, and then my identity might come naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really beautiful story, and I think what you've talked about there is very important in our society. I think we are definitely, I think even amongst Malaysians, I think the knowledge that we have on the Orang Asli and how the kind of experiences that we have attached to it as well is I think it's under represented, and I think we can be a lot more knowledgeable about things like this. So yeah, thank you for sharing that story, and I'm sure lots of people will hopefully hear this and then think that there is a different way to approach the way that we should respect everyone, absolutely, and we are all Malaysians, yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit as well. Do you know a lot of other sort of artists that come from a similar background as yourself?
Yeah, I do have another artist that come from Orang Asli community. And yeah, well, most of them are quite creative, because most of them they don't come from the art education background. Only me that come from education background. But yes, and they produce so much amazing work than me, because I get to say that actually from my story, right? I come from the really poor family, and I went to the university in learning in art. That's actually give me another perspective about how I approach my work, and at the same time how I try my best to help my people also. So I always get in touch with Orang Asli artists, also try to get them produce some beautiful work, and try to get them to be creative, give them some exposure as well. So that kind of upbringing actually make me want to do something for my people too.
You've talked about sort of helping people and sort of wanting to give back to your community. So in relation to that, you are also an environmental activist, aren't you, Shaq? So how is your work as an artist sort of intertwined with your passion as an environmental activist as well?
Well, it comes at exactly the same thing. It's come from my bringing to as Orang Asli, as in my animism belief, that in animism belief on Orang Asli, we believe that we need to respect the nature, because nature has a spirit. Every part of the nature has spirit. So that thing I think quite useful if I share that knowledge to others, and at the same time let others to respect the nature as well. And also I think quite important as a young generation now that we need set a good example for our future children and for our future, because whatever we do now will affect the future. So I think we need to take a lead, take a step to to do better, not just let the thing happen in front of you, the destruction happen in front of you. What happened in front of you, that will affect your future, that will affect the future of the world. So because we are human in one tiny planet in a galaxy. So I think quite important that we should cherish that we have, and also protect that what we can when we can.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very nice sort of message that you've given us there. Is there something that we can do? Because Shaq, you are a millennial, and I think likewise I am. And lots of our listeners are millennials, in fact. So, is there anything that we can do as millennials at this stage to protect our environment?
Well, there's so many things, Plus, I mean, there's so many things. One of them is get yourself informed about where our energy come from, like electricity, something that I think they've never been in debate in Malaysia, because that's important, because our electricity actually comes from the coal, and Malaysia now building new coal plant in Port Dickson. So almost like 80% of our energy comes from coal. You know what the coal do? Like they burn the coal, they release the carbon dioxide to our atmosphere. That means global heating. They will heat our global temperature, and that's actually happened now. You can see in the news now, happen in Canada and US. Soon they will happen here, and that actually soon will affect the future. And we need to get informed about our energy come from, and that will change your perspective. What you're gonna do next? For example, maybe you should use less electric appliances, or turn off any electric appliances if you don't use it, or try to almost make a monthly challenge. Try not to spend more than 10 ringgit a month. I managed to do that.
That seems like a difficult thing to do, but no, I think that is a good challenge to give ourselves. Yes.
Yeah, I managed to do it, because I didn't use aircon much. I use aircon whenever I need it. Maybe if it's so hot, then I use it. When I call, I turn off. That's it. I never use actually almost like once a week, then I will have to use it. Otherwise, I try put a challenge to myself not to use aircon.
Wow. And so how has the what's the lowest amount that you've paid for your bill when it comes to electricity?
10 ringgit is the lowest. The highest is 45 or 49. Sorry, 49.
Wow, that is really impressive. Wow. Yeah, no, I think we should all try to limit as much electricity if we can.
And also another thing that use so much the electricity is shopping mall.
Yes.
We get a lot of shopping mall in Malaysia. This more shopping mall bill mean they demand more energy so they will demand more coal. They will just come in a big cycle chain of,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think even within like so where I live right now, there's at least 5 or 6, even 8 malls, and it's so unnecessary, because we have I think 2 malls is more than enough in one area, and to have 8, it's really it's quite crazy, to be honest. But yeah, absolutely. I think if we can, so if for our listeners listening in, try to make it a challenge, and if you can, I think Shaq is the gold standard. If you can limit to 10 ringgit a month, or maybe start off with at least 50 or 100, and then see how low you can go with the electricity.
maybe we should do like a event, like a challenge monthly, and then the lowest will get the winner.
Yes, yes,
get the
no, I
prize,
think,
you know, get the prize.
yes. Yeah. No, I think that would be great if you could do like a social media handle, you know, hashtag 10 ringgit a month or something like that. That would be amazing.
Oh, this would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be cool. Yeah, we need to make it into something. Shaq, so you've talked a lot about you know, your journey as an artist as well. And we talked about the fact that you are a millennial artist. What would you like millennials to understand and take away from your work?
My works mostly talk about oratory, and another side of my work is to talk about the environment. And I guess what I just for me, I think I just leave it to anybody to interpret my work. I think it's quite clear what I do. Basically, I think most of it quite clear. Some of it is not that clear, but I think the way for me to present my work is try to create some kind of connection, and also get them to have like a time to interpret it, and at the same time the visual that look at it is I think the visual is the most important thing. Is sometimes I cannot give a one answer or two answer. Is the visual will give interpret with so many meanings. So sometimes I just let the viewer to enjoy my work, and some of my work is not really 2D kind of painting surface, but some of my work is I use like a installation kind of setting. So that kind of work will allow you to almost like interact. I mean, the very interactive kind of work, that the piece of moving by itself, or you can go inside it and you can feel it, and that kind of work, I guess you have to experience it with the interaction.
Yeah. Wow, that's and what art piece or exhibition are you most connected to?
You mean?
So in terms of your art, so you've had some exhibitions and you've made
Yes.
You know, lots of different art. So is there any particular art that you feel connected to? And is there a reason why?
There's one of exhibition in National Gallery. Is I did the biggest artwork. So I did a big art installation using the material from the Oransli community. Means using the pandanus mat, the pandanus weaving mat, and also Oransli weaving leaf, and the weaving leaf actually they usually used for ceremonial purposes, but I use it as a part of my work. Is because this artwork talking about the deforestation happening in the Oransli community, and I guess if you like to see a picture, I can send you the picture. Then you can relate to that.
Yeah, I would love to see a picture of that. I think lots of your works. I mean, when a lot of my access is actually through your Instagram. So you know, I think there's a lot of it's dramatic, and it's also very you know, there's a lot of emotion, I think, that you can evoke from your art. You know, a little there's a bit of pain, there's a bit of happiness, and you know, I'm not an artist in any way, but I can understand that is what I am able to take away from your art. And I think it's very special if you know, by looking at the art, I can, you know, I start to feel those emotions. Yeah.
I guess that's another something. Subconsciously I deliberately doing it, or subconsciously not deliberate do it. I mean, that's another thing. I sometimes I don't really realize that I did it on my work. And like you said, I painted emotion. I paint the emotion on the work, or I create the emotion on the work. That actually I didn't realize until you mentioned now, you know.
Right. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's another thing that I like about artwork, that sometimes I just let the people interpret it without me pushing the or putting word on your in your sentence or something, you know.
No, absolutely. And I think that, like you said, that's the beauty of art, isn't it? It's you know, what the artist is showing across on the canvas. You know, it's us consumers of the art that sort of interprets that, you know. And I think it's as you know, someone that's consuming art, we always sort of want to go back to the story behind the artist. Why did the artist paint it in such a way? You know, what was the message behind, like, the stroke in the painting in this part of the canvas and things like that. So I think it's very special. I think the journey and sort of experiencing art is a really special thing. And I think we need more art, to be honest. I think as millennials and as Malaysians, I think, you know, we, like, this year itself, we've just seen so much of suffering, and we're still suffering in a sense, you know. So seeing art and seeing artists sort of doing something that is so visually pleasing, I think it's so important at this stage, especially. Shaq, so in your thoughts, what role do artists sort of play globally and also within the Malaysian sort of climate and also the Malaysian millennial climate? What role do they play?
I guess for me, I think artists or art play like a bridging role. We try to bridge between what's it called? Because we're dealing with the social media, we're dealing with the digital world, and then art is a play to bridge between intangible kind of reality to very human digital reality to the very human reality. That's kind of art do, you know, because we're dealing with so much content on social media, and then that's I think that's what artists do. We are bridging between you know, digital to human, and also we also touch a little bit emotion, touch a little bit heart, touch a little bit of a, you know, environment in that in the work that we produce. And that's another thing that artists I think that's the reason why we have artists in this world, and also why some piece of artwork can change a lot of people perspective about the world.
You talked about sort of the digital aspect of being an artist as well. So how important is social media when it comes to your art?
Yes, it's very important because because obviously now we in lockdown. The only way to consume the art is through digital world, and sadly we cannot go to gallery person by yourself and in the flash and you know, see it in front of you. But at least you can see the work that created by artists in social media. That's of course it's play important role for artists to show their work, also can sell their work, and also for public to enjoy the interpretation or so-called reflection that artists done in their work about the society.
And is there so when you do sort of post pictures of your work on social media, do you find that sort of because of, you know, the way social media works and, you know, the digitization of your art piece, do you feel like it's sort of lost in any way when it's sort of put on social media, or would you say that the integrity of your art is still very much there?
Well, of course, in digital is only flat, only 2D, and yeah, I actually work like my work is I'm dealing with the fiber. We are dealing not just flat 2D. I'm dealing with different some layer of work, layer of the weaving, for example, layer of a color, and the digital picture doesn't give you
doesn't do it justice, right?
Exactly, doesn't see that kind of layer that I'm talking about. And I realized when I see I think a lot of my work, and I there's one collector bought my work. He said, "Oh, it look different from the picture." He said, and she said,
Yeah.
"Oh, now I can see the detail. Now I can see the the text in there or something like that. Something that really detailed, something that I really want to say in the work doesn't say in the digital, you know. So I can see that we artists like me, I think most of artists also, we can't just we can't really give 100% of our what's it called meaning on the flat screen that you saw. That almost like 50% of it, you know, and then 50% is still not there yet.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the struggles that we're going through at the moment. I think with lots of artists as well. I think it's, I'm sure, you know, because, you know, when you make something, you want people to see the true form of it. And I think sometimes with social media and like you said, you know, we're looking at flat screens and some people are looking at it through a phone and things like that. So I think definitely that aspect is a challenging aspect. But I think it still allows us, like you said, it still allows us to see your work. It sure, you know, now with the time that we are in, you know, you are able to give access to us with your art. So I guess that's one, that's the main part of it, isn't it? So Shaq, just to we're almost at the end really, because you've talked a lot about sort of your art and your story, and that has been extremely inspiring. So could you tell us what's next for you, Shaq? What's your next journey when it comes to art?
There's so many things. I'm planning to do, you know, workshop with the community or Asli community, art workshop especially. I also want to get the interest, and I want to find new talent in our Asli community. I'm sure there's a lot of talent in our Asli community. The only problem is the opportunity is not there, and they don't give a choice for them to do what they want. And that's the reason I think I think I need to do this workshop, because I think it's important also, because not many people finish the school because you know, financial issue. They cannot just study in university because they're so far from the village and so on, so on. So I think I have bring that up to them, show it, and if they have the talent, I can just help them to develop their talent and show their talent to the world. I think that's another project that I'm doing. And also, of course, I'm also part of the big coalition of the environment NGO. Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing I'm doing at the moment. So,
yeah, I think you know, the tutoring and the teaching that you're talking about, I think that's a very noble thing to do, and I think you're absolutely right. I'm also a teacher in my day job, and you know, in this past year or so, I think what I've seen is you know, because I think at times we can't really bring that input with, you know, subjects like maths and science and English and all that, because it's quite hard with the way that we're doing it. So I think something like art and music, you know, I think now is really the time to make use of cultivating that talent as well. So, you know, with something that you are planning to do, I think that would be incredibly meaningful for the Orang Asli children, and I think that will have a great impact in their lives. Yeah, so something to watch, everyone. Definitely something to watch.
yes.
So yeah, watch that space with Shaq. Yeah, watch that space. Thank you so much, Shaq. You've been incredibly amazing. And I always ask this one question at the end of my podcast. And the question is, what is one myth about millennials that you disagree with?
One myth? I think one myth is I would say, I don't know. I guess we probably people are quite people say we are vain.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think that's quite Understatement.
Understatement. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, because we deal in millennial, we really dealing with digital. That's actually that's what we are. That's actually what millennial are, and
Yeah.
that's doesn't mean that we are bad, but we actually want to to do better by putting good example for our future. I guess I'm vain.
Yeah, you're vain. No, honestly, I think all of us are vain and narcissistic in our own way. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Shaq. But I think, like you said, it comes with us sort of having that knowledge of social media a little bit. I think we were I guess in a way blessed that we had that we were tech savvy from the time that we were sort of in this generation and all that. But then we obviously have our next competitors, which is the Gen Z, and they are far more, I think they're a lot more tech savvy than we could be. But yeah, I think vain is a good myth that you've talked about there, and perhaps it's not a myth. Maybe it is the truth. When it comes
Yes,
to
that's
millennials. It is the
the truth.
truth.
Maybe,
It's the absolute truth. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Shaq. It is I've really enjoyed talking to you, and it's really nice and it's very inspiring what you are doing for the community, for our Malaysians, for the Orang Asli community as well. And I think I wish you the very best of luck, and I'm sure you're going to be very successful, and you are already very successful. So you can check out Shaq's work through many different platforms. Shaq, would you like to tell us where we can see your artwork on social media?
Yeah, you can check out my Instagram, Shaq Koyok Art, and also same with the Facebook page. I have a Facebook page called Shaq Koyok Art, and you can also check out my YouTube channel because with the same name, Shaq Koyok Art, and weekly I will do a live streaming in my YouTube channel as well. Also with the other artwork and also vlogs that I do in my YouTube channel. So do check it out.
Yep. So definitely check out Shaq's work. He's got amazing work, and it will be something that you will truly enjoy, as I did. Thank you so much, Shaq, and we will see you hopefully sometime in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.